Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us on our accommodation talk at the UK Teachers and Advisors Conference 2021. My name's Ashley and I work for the Future Students Office here at the University of Leicester. So I may have met a couple of you in my time here at the university. Just a quick housekeeping to let you know that this session is being recorded and will be available on demand very shortly. And you do have the opportunity to get involved using the chat box at the bottom of the screen. So if you do have any questions as we go through, do let us know and I'll either answer them if I can, or I'll collate them and pass them over to Martin at the end of the session. Speaking of which, I'm going to hand over to Martin to introduce himself and get the session going. Over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. So my name is Martin Miller. I am the Head of Accommodation here at the University of Leicester. I'm going to give you a quick run through of the accommodation options that we offer to students and hopefully explain why I think living with us, particularly for students in their first year, is the best choice and the best way to be part of the university community and make the most out of their time at the University of Leicester. So our accommodation is split into kind of two main areas, two main sites. We have the village and we have city living. So the two areas are quite different in style and have different facilities and different approach. So it really depends on what students are interested in. It's a great opportunity to try something different, to live somewhere different as well. Perhaps from where they've been before, or just to have a look at different styles of accommodation. And it's one of the main benefits of the university, and one of the things that I like most about Leicester is the variety that we have. So in the village, it's much more green and open space. It's situated a few miles away from campus. It's a really popular site for first year students. It's all undergraduate at the village. There's about 1,800 bed spaces, so it is a genuine community within itself, and that's why we call it the village. It's a great way to be part of that kind of first year experience, split across a range of different halls. So within each of the halls we have different property groups, and that's how the students will apply depending on what type of accommodation they want to live in. Oadby is unique. It has a range of different houses and purpose-built blocks and different types of properties, all the way from kind of grade 2 listed Edwardian Victorian villas up to purpose-built student accommodation, the latest of which was built in 2006, and then other rooms which have been refurbished in the last few years. So it really is a complete mix, and the best way to get a sense of what's on offer is to take a look at the website, have a look at the different property groups that we have, and then look at the 360 tours and the photos available, and then hopefully as well encourage students to come and take a look. We do offer tours around the village. We are currently offering limited campus and accommodation tours at the moment, but hopefully we'll be expanding that as we're able to ease with the easing of restrictions, allow for open days, etc. So it's a great, I would really encourage people to come along because it is unique and it's really different, and the best way to get a sense of it is to see it and to get a sense of the community. The village has a lot of green space, a lot of open areas. There's lots of facilities nearby. So although it's a little bit further away from the main campus, we're right next door to one of the university's sports centres, which includes swimming pool, gym, the sauna steam room. You've got all of the university's sports pitches, so football, rugby, tennis courts, netball courts, sports hall is all located in the village. So it's right next door to lots of different places where you can be kind of take advantage of the facilities without having to be right on campus or using a library. And then the University Botanic Gardens as well, having them next door is a great feature, and lots of students will enjoy that, particularly when the weather is nice, as it has been recently. So in contrast to the village, we have city living accommodation. As the name suggests, it's much closer to the main city centre itself, and also really close to the university campus. So there's two kind of main areas, Nixon Court and Opal Court. It's slightly different to the village, so the two accommodation blocks are split out either side of the academic campus. Opal Court is located next to the medical school and some of the more science-based buildings, and then Nixon Court is located closer to the sports centre and the library. Maximum kind of 5-10 minute walk away from all of the academic sites. So if students are more interested in being closer to the university, but not have as much of the space, the green space, then city living accommodation is for them. The accommodation is much more kind of standard student accommodation as well. So high-rise flats, cluster flats, with students sharing in either ensuite or studios. So it is much more kind of the standard, I guess, what you'd imagine student accommodation versus the village, which has much more variety and a much kind of different feel. Having been close to the city obviously does mean that you can take advantage of everything that's on campus really easily, and all of the kind of food outlets, all of the activities in the Students' Union, etc. And it's also really close to things like the walking distance to the main train station and into the city centre itself. So once students have decided which kind of location interests them most, we then have a range of different room types to try and suit everybody's needs, all different types of price point and facility requirements. So we do offer everything from twin rooms all the way up to one-bed flats. The twin rooms are available in the village. They are the cheapest accommodation, so great value for students who are willing to share and perhaps want to save some money. So they will start at around £88 a week, something like that. And then it goes all the way through, including standard bedrooms where students would share a kitchen and bathroom facilities. Kitchen ratios will range from 1 to 4 all the way up to 1 to 10 students sharing. The kitchen ratio, obviously, the more people there are sharing a kitchen, the bigger the kitchen, the bigger the common space, and the more facilities in the area in that room. And then where we have shared bathrooms, normally the ratio is between 1 to 3 or maximum kind of 1 to 4. But all that information is available on the application forms on the accommodation website. So if students want to see how many people they'll be sharing a kitchen with or sharing a bathroom with, they can see that within the information. And obviously we try and price that to make sure that there is flexibility within the pricing structure based on how many people will be sharing. We do have ensuite rooms as well. So single bedrooms with wash basin, then ensuite rooms, obviously where you'll have a private bathroom, studio flats where you get the private bathroom and you get a small kitchenette space within your room, and then the one-bed flats as well, where you'll have a separate bedroom with bathroom to then an ensuite to a kitchen and living area within your own space. The standard singles will be between kind of £90 to 110. The single with wash basins will be between 110 to 130. En suites between 130 to 160, and then the studios and the ensuite and the one-bed flats will be between kind of 160 and 180 a week. So there is quite a range, and the contracts are split between Oadby and City. So you'll either have a 39-week contract in Oadby and in the village, or you'll have a 42-week contract in City Living. Both those contracts cover the full amount of time that students need to be here in Leicester to study, from the start of term, start of Freshers Week, all the way through to the end of the exam period. It just depends how which contract will suit students the best. Students don't have to move out over Christmas or Easter, and all of our accommodation is self-catered, so we don't have any catered accommodation. I think the contract length is really important, and I always encourage students to take a look at the weekly price in context of the contract length, just to get a better sense of how much the accommodation is going to cost over the full period. Obviously, for some students, 39-week contract is more than enough if they are, planning to be here for the whole year, but don't necessarily want to spend the summer in university accommodation. That means they will save quite a lot of money if they're not signing up to a 48, 50-week contract in other areas. So it's well worth having a think about the total cost rather than just looking at the weekly rent. Each room has everything the students will need to study, and we try to make it as simple as possible, as easy as it can be, particularly for those studying in their first year. So all the information about what the room includes is on the website, and the students will be able to see that when they apply. We've got an all-inclusive price as well, so there's no hidden extras. The price includes all kind of utilities as expected, Wi-Fi, so that includes the ability to set up a personal kind of hotspot in your room, which allows you to connect to internet devices like Alexas and Wi-Fi printers and speakers and stuff like that. Personal contents insurance is included, and then access to all of our Res Life program. All of the events that we run in accommodation are free to take part in, and obviously we encourage students to be involved, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So it's all about making it as simple as possible so that it's a single price and you don't have any hidden extras. There's no need to worry about, putting on extra jumpers over the winter because you're worried about the gas bill and things like that. It's all one price. There's no other things to kind of worry about. And we find that it just helps students when they're looking to manage their money, perhaps manage their loans, particularly that first year, to know exactly what they've got to pay when in accommodation and to know they'll have everything that they need. So one of the most important things that we offer at Leicester is a guarantee for students who want to live with us. So we guarantee a place for all students who will be studying for the first time at Leicester, a place in university managed accommodation, as long as they apply by the 1st of September. So that means the students have quite a lot of time to make that application and to have that confidence that they will still be able to access our accommodation and make sure that they get to take advantage of all of the features and facilities that we're talking about and get that support from living with us. So we've done it in that way to make sure that, even if students are, perhaps going through clearing in August, whether that's because they are, they're looking to go through adjustment or they're looking to go through clearing for other reasons, then they're still able to kind of make their decision and be accepted, hopefully by the university, and then still they've got loads of time to make that application before the 1st of September. And we'll make sure that by the end of September, they've got somewhere to live with us and that we'll be able to help them settle in as soon as possible. Obviously, if we do have students who don't apply until even later and they're applying through September itself, then it's still well worth coming to us and talking to us, because we will always be able to either find accommodation within our halls, or we will certainly look to support all students to make sure that they find the best place to live and help point them in the right direction. So even if it is, even if there are students who are still unsure and they're worried that they won't find anywhere later into the year, or even towards the start of term, please do get in touch with the team, because we're always happy to help, and in most cases we are able to support students arriving later. So in terms of the application process, although we've got that guarantee in place, students can apply now. Students, we normally open for accommodation in around January, February time. So it has been open for a little while, and we've had lots of students applying, which is great. You can apply for up to 5 rooms, and we do that to try and help the team make sure that we make the best offers possible at the point of application. So as much as possible, we try and allocate rooms as fairly as we can on a first come, first served basis. So basically, as students apply, if they have an unconditional offer, then they will be able to make an accommodation application as soon as Leicester is their firm choice, as soon as they've received their University of Leicester student ID, go through the application process, And then as soon as they've submitted it to us, we will send them an offer straight away, and they can have everything wrapped up and sorted from as early as Feb. If a student has a conditional offer, as soon as they make Leicester their firm choice, they can then apply. We will then hold on to that application until results day, or until the results are confirmed at whatever point they come in, depending on their qualifications. And as soon as that confirmation comes through, we will make an offer, and then the students will have 5 days to kind of accept or reject that offer. So we'll go through that list based on when students applied. So that's why if we can get the applications in as soon as possible, or students are able to make their selection on whether they make Leicester their firm choice or not, it can make it more likely that students will get their first or second choice accommodation, because they will be so much higher up the list. However, even though, like I said before, students might apply later, or for whatever reason, results might come through later, and students might not have been offered their place until a bit later on, that's fine as well. It's still important that we have as much information as possible on the application form. So the different choices, why the students have made their choice. There's a note section on there as well. And all of that will help the accommodation team when they're making those offers. And if there's any questions or queries, or students aren't quite sure about why they've been offered what they've been offered, again, I would encourage students to get in contact with us directly before they want to change or reject anything, just because speaking to the team, it's much more likely that we'll be able to talk them through the process, explain how we can help, or perhaps change the offer to something more suitable once we've had that conversation. So it very much is a kind of one-on-one. We don't just allocate through a computer algorithm. We do look at every single application, and the more detail, the better we can help support. So in addition to the information we just talked about, we do look at other things in terms of the type of flat mix that we've got. Students can decide whether they want to be in single gender or mixed gender accommodation. And again, we'll go through that process, and we'll make students an offer based on all of the different things that they've expressed an interest in, and hopefully meet as many first choices as we possibly can. All this information is available on the website, and again, we do have an accommodation team who are able to answer questions over email or web chat or over the phone. So I would encourage students to get in contact if they're unsure about the application process. It's best to talk to us, and then we can help them make the best application possible. So alongside the kind of main application, we also offer a range of different facilities for students who might need any accessible accommodation or adapted features in their accommodation. We have some questions on the application form that help with that, but again, it's about adding as much detail as possible. It could be that it's about a specific room shape or type, or it could be about adding an extra feature, maybe a special mattress or chair, or a different type of alarm. So there's lots of different requirements from lots of different students. No one is, one requirement is the same. So I'd recommend, again, getting in contact with us as early as possible through the application process, and then we can best meet that need. In terms of the Accessibility Centre, I would suggest that although it's useful to understand from an accommodation point of view how we can support students, the accessibility team at the university should also be the first port of call for anybody who has any specific requirements, just because they will help with the entire university experience. So not just living in halls, but also thinking about their time on campus, their studies, interactions with departments and personal tutors and things like that. So I'd always encourage students to speak to the Accessibility Centre first, and then they will help us as well engage with that student, make sure that we've got everything in place ready for their arrival. So it really is kind of depending on what the students want. There's just so much choice. It's really hard to articulate how many different types of accommodation we have, which is hopefully a great feature. Like we said, the village is a great place to be if you want to be part of that kind of community, bigger community within itself. You've got lots of facilities there, study rooms, music rooms, lots of all the sports as well. So it's great to be part of that community, and you don't have to always travel to and from campus. You've got lots of what you need right on your doorstep in the village. We do have great transport links to the main campus as well. So as you can see noted there, we have cycle lanes. There's it's about probably 40 minutes to walk, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes to cycle. And then we have a bus service dedicated to the village, so university-run bus service, which takes students to and from the village, Brookfield, the business school, and the main campus on a daily basis, Monday to Saturday. Students can buy that bus pass separately. It's about £175 for the year, Monday to Friday. But then they can also pay a little extra for the Saturday service as well. The bus runs from about 7:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. So it covers, again, all of the time that students need to be studying for their timetabled classes. And the bus runs at peak times, kind of every 10 minutes, and then, at least once an hour during the day, perhaps at off-peak. So it is, although it's a little bit further away, we know that lots of students like having that separation between work, study and living, and that actually they can make the most of being in an open space. Or the city is then the other choice. So again, we've got all the different types of accommodation available, just in a slightly different layout. It is more focused on the kind of cluster flat experience, the high rise, but you've got everything nearby, easy walking distance into the city and onto the main academic campus, with a real mix of students. Although the Oadby Student Village is all undergraduate, City Living is both postgraduate and undergraduate, so there is a much broader mix of students. Obviously, we try to make sure that the undergraduates and postgraduates are in different flats, and normally in different buildings as well, just to help with the different experience and expectations of those groups. But it's certainly a kind of really vibrant place to be, with lots happening, lots going on, and kind of super easy to get in and out. So those are the current choices and the current offer that we have. We are currently going through the process of building a really exciting new campus next door to the academic space, next door to the existing City Living accommodation. So I thought I'd just quickly mention what we have that's new for this September, and then what will be new in September 22 as well. So Freeman's Common Student Village will be next door to Nixon Court, and as I mentioned, just over the road from the academic campus and the library end of the university. We're building 1,200 new bed spaces. There's a car park, which is a multi-storey car park, which has opened as well, which will make it easy for staff and students to get in, and visitors. We're going to have a brand new teaching and learning centre with a new 600-seater lecture theatre, and then lots of new social study spaces. There's going to be a cafe and bar and cinema rooms, music rooms. So we're creating basically a brand new campus right next door to our existing space, and adding to what's already there at Nixon by creating this new kind of village environment, mirroring what we have at Oadby. So it will be a really kind of welcoming space. It's going to be kind of great to open up this area and put on activities and events through all of the different social spaces that we don't have as much of at the moment, and that make the Oadby Student Village such a great place to be. So we'll be able to build on some of the events, programs and activities that we've been doing elsewhere in the village. For this September, we've got 2 of the buildings coming online, so 424 of the beds will be available this year. The remainder will be coming online for September 22. These are the different rooms types that we will be making available. So for this year, we'll have the standard ensuite and the premium ensuite. So flats of 8 to 10 people sharing a kitchen in the standard, and then flats of 6 in the premium. They will be, as described before, all-inclusive package, everything within the single price point. And then obviously all of the brand new features and facilities as well. The kitchens in the standard ensuite are much bigger to make sure that they can accommodate all of the people sharing. And then obviously the flats of 6 sharing to make the premium. They've got a little bit more space between them and a little bit bigger room as well. And then single studio flats will be available this year, and then 1-bed flats the following year, to create the higher end for those students who want their own personal space and private areas without having to share facilities. So that's how the building looked a little while ago, but it's come on quite a lot since then. You'll be pleased to know, because it will be ready for September. So blocks, if students are interested in some of the new accommodation, this year they will be called Nixon Court blocks L and M, and they will be, so they're currently available for application, and then we may look at the naming convention, so it will probably be classed as Freeman's Common going forward into September 22. So I've talked quite a lot about the different types of accommodation. I've talked a lot about the choices that students can make in terms of the facilities, what's available to them, obviously the transport to and from. One of the things I haven't touched on is why accommodation is a great place to be for students, particularly in terms of integrating into the community and being part of the University of Leicester experience. So we have residential advisors who are current students, normally in second, third year, perhaps master's students, who work with us throughout the year to put on a great range of events and specific res life activities for our residents. We normally have 2 or 3 activities a night. That ranges from the pub quiz night or big parties. We have in the past, pre-COVID, we've had May Day fun days with inflatables and barbecues and food trucks and big activity events like that, all the way down to some real specific things where we'll have book clubs or music lessons, perhaps movie nights. I think this year we've got 6 students dedicated to Warhammer, so they book out a room and have a session every week. In Oadby, in the village, we also have an allotment, which is an advantage of all that green space. So there's a couple of sessions a week where students can go down and just grow food and try different things in the garden and make foods. And it's a really kind of opportunity for students to just try something different, either take part in some of the existing activities that we have, meet different people from a range of different areas, not necessarily on their course or not necessarily in the same societies, not necessarily in the same flats, but just a different opportunity to be part of the bigger community. Or to come to us and say there's something specific they're really interested in, there's an event or an activity they want to try, and then we'll help them to put that on and facilitate and get like-minded students together to be a part of it. So it's a really great part of being within the university halls to just in that first year make sure that you've got as much opportunity as possible to be as involved as you'd like to be. And then beyond that, it's also a great support network. So the RAs are there as peer-to-peer support. First line, they're current students, so they know what it's all about. They've been through it in their own first year. They understand some of the challenges or questions that might come up. And it's a great way for students to speak to somebody who's done it recently. Perhaps they're on the same course as them. So they're the first point of contact. And if the RAs don't know or they can't help, then they can help signpost and they know exactly where in the university to send the student to make sure they get the direct help that they need. The RAs work every evening and through the weekends. And then alongside them, we have 2 24/7 receptions, one at Nixon Court and one in the village. So if students need anything at any time, they can go and visit the reception in person, or they can call, or they can email. And also we have 24/7 security who make regular patrols around the accommodation and are available via phone or via Safe Zone app as well, which is a great feature we have at the university. So it's a downloadable app, and it's just a push button away to get support from our security teams and our Res Life teams. So there's lots of other advantages beyond just the room, beyond just the facilities that we offer, to be part of the university community and accommodation, and to make the most of your first year. So hopefully that's covered a broad range of what we have on offer and everything to do with accommodation. Happy to take any questions now if people want to pop them into the chat box. But if not, obviously, please get in contact with us. Please speak to the team, encourage students to take a look at the website, explore all the photos and videos. And if there's any information that they can't find or they're not sure about, just pick up the phone, send an email, and we'll make sure we get back to them and support. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you, Martin. We have had a couple of questions come through. One is a two-parter, so I'll just amalgamate. How and when do students pay for their accommodation?
So the students get a choice at the point in which they apply. They can either pay for it upfront, all in one go, or they can pay in 3 installments over the term. And that's the normal choice that most students make. So we have 3 different pay points throughout the year. We time them so the accommodation rent is due after the students should expect their loans to be paid in, and that helps them hopefully manage their budget over the year. So there'll be 3 installments. The installments are explained at the very beginning, so when students sign up, they can see exactly how much each installment will be and when it will come in. So I think off the top of my head, they're normally kind of October, March and May. But like I say, they're timed in a way to try and help students manage their money better over the year, based on when those loan payments come in.
Lovely, thank you. Another person has said they've known students to come to Leicester in the past and have catered accommodation. Is that no longer an option?
Yes, so over the last few years, we've reduced the number of catered rooms that we have. And then this year, we don't have any catered accommodation at all. We've just seen that the demand for accommodation, for catered accommodation, has dropped significantly. Students weren't choosing it in the same numbers that we've seen before. So what we've tried to do is make sure that all of the accommodation is self-catered, so that they have that as an option. But we do still have the You Pay Chili card. So there is a specific app and payment card with that aligns with the university catering team, that allows students to access, to top up their card, or allows friends and family to top up their card. And they can use the You Pay Chili in any of the food outlets on campus, either in Oadby, where we do have the bar and the kind of a kind of bar menu for simple food and things, or on the main campus, where we've just opened a brand new food court in the Students' Union and other catering outlets around the rest of the academic estate. So although we don't have any direct catered bed spaces, students can still get access to an element of catering.
That's great. Thank you, Martin. We don't have any other questions come through, but as Martin said, if you do have any other questions on accommodation, their email address is on the screen now. On behalf of the Future Students Office, I just want to say a huge thank you to Martin. Couldn't have done this session without you, and it was very comprehensive. So thank you very much. I'll pass over to you to her for a closing sentence.
Yes, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. I hope that it's been helpful. And like I say, it's I really do think that university accommodation is a great way to integrate, to be part of the community, to make the most of students' time in university. And we look forward to hopefully welcoming lots of students this September and beyond. So thank you very much, and please get in touch with any questions.
Thanks. Bye-bye.